Times are tough at the moment and they're likely to get even tougher. So today I wanted to do a video on ways that you can reduce expenses and save money while running your Etsy shop, in the hope that I can help you weather these difficult financial times. Now I'm going to be focusing specifically on those of you who have an Etsy shop today, but a lot of what I'm going to share, a lot of these principles and ideas will work for you no matter what sort of handmade online business you have, or any sort of business in general, really. If you find this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for other ways that Etsy shop owners and handmade business owners can save a bit of money right now. Okay, number one, if you're not already, try as much as you can to buy your supplies and materials in bulk or at wholesale prices. You might have just been buying little bits and pieces here and there, and it might seem a little bit scary to buy things in bulk up front, but in the long term, if you're committed to this business and keeping it going, in the long term, it's cheaper to put that little bit more outlay up front and then save yourself money in the long run. An example of this would be, are you just going to the post office and buying your envelopes or your boxes from the post office, packing stuff up and shipping it? What you want to be doing instead is actually buying your shipping materials in bulk, whether that's online, most of us will be doing that online, so that you reduce the overall cost or the cost per item. The same goes for your materials. Can you buy your materials in bulk from another supplier at wholesale prices? Yes, it'll take a little bit of time and you'll have to do a little bit of research to find the right solution, but that little bit of time spent will save you money again in the long term. Number two is related to this, and it is reduce your impulse buys or eliminate them altogether. I don't know about you, but when I started my handmade business, and for the first few years when I was doing a lot of stuff with beads and gemstones and stuff, I would constantly be kind of on the lookout and looking for pretty things, shiny things to add and possibly make designs out of. If you make bags, maybe you're always stalking your favorite fabric sites. If you embellish clothing, you might be doing the same for embellishments. Whatever it is you make, chances are there might be materials or tools that you buy on impulse. We need to stop doing that right now. What you want to do is only buy things when you have a plan for them. So if you've sat down and you've sketched out a design and you know that you need to buy XY materials or that tool, then buy it. But buy it because you know you need it, not because it's shiny and you just want it. This will of course save you money because you won't be buying all of this stuff that you might not even end up using at all. I have so many bags of beads and materials and stuff that are just sitting there and I'm never gonna do anything with them. And that's a lot of money that I've invested in those materials over time. So, it would have been better if I'd never spent that money in the first place. You could argue that having the materials there helps to increase your creativity, and that's true, but when we're trying to cut costs and save money, it's one way that we can definitely do that. Okay, number three is to review your regular expenses. So if you haven't, first of all, if you're not tracking your income and your expenses, we need to start there, okay? I did a video not too long ago about how to do this, where I suggested a number of ways that you can start this process of tracking your income and expenses. I'll put a card to that up here. I talk about simple ways like using a spreadsheet, and I also give you a couple of software suggestions, including Craftybase, which is my number one suggestion for makers. If you want inventory management and bookkeeping software all in one made for makers, then Craftybase would probably be my best recommendation. There's a link below to Craftybase that you can check out. Okay, so now you've got that out of the way. Hopefully you are managing and keeping an eye on your income and your expenditures. So what you want to do is you want to sit down and look through your expenses. Do at least the last month, possibly the last 3 months. If you have any subscriptions that are yearly, also make sure to have a look at those. Like I pay for my web hosting yearly. It's a big chunk of change, but it saves me money in the long run, again, because I'm buying it in one hit rather than breaking it up across the year. It's actually cheaper that way. But what I want you to do is just have a look at those expenses. Look for any subscriptions you have, look for any regular expenses that you have. You're buying supplies, you're paying fees, whatever it might be that's coming up regularly as expenses in your business, and see if there's any of those that you can modify, alter, or cut altogether. I know this sounds like a bit of a no-brainer, but it's something we neglect because it takes time to do and it's boring. But in the long run, it's going to save you money. Number 4 is to review your ad spend. Do you spend any money on ads? Do you spend money on Etsy ads? Are you opted into the offsite ads program on Etsy? Do you pay for any external advertising? And this includes boosting posts on Instagram and Facebook, or paying for ads on those platforms, paying for Pinterest ads, paying for ads on blogs. Do people still do that? Anywhere that you're spending money marketing your business, it's time to review that and see if you're getting return on investment. Yes, we need to market our businesses. Yes, we need to get the word out. Absolutely, that's non-negotiable. However, there comes a point where the return on investment is not worth it. What does that mean? Okay, I'll give you an example with Etsy ads. Go into your dashboard if you've been using Etsy ads. They will literally tell you your return on investment. They'll say, you spent this much money last month and you made this much money from these ads last month. That number of how much money you made should be much higher than the amount of money you spent. If it is not, you need to switch those ads off, review what you're advertising, and have a think about that. This happened to me not too long ago, actually. I've been running a low-level amount of Etsy ads for quite a long time, but things shifted and I was not getting the return on the spend, and I'm just like, well, why am I paying for this? It's not worth it, so I switched them off. And that's something that when I get back from Canada, I'm going to have a look at and review, see what I was advertising, see what was working and what wasn't. So make sure you are getting that return on investment. And this is really important. If you haven't already priced your stuff correctly, you might be losing out with advertising spend. Again, I've got a video on that. I'll put a card to that up here about how to properly price your work, how to actually think about and use a formula. And there's some mind-blowing stuff in there you might not have ever heard of or thought about before, so make sure to bookmark that one to come back to later. Number 5, speaking of pricing, that was a good, slightly accidental segue. Do you need to raise your prices? When was the last time you raised your prices? I know we are in, technically, are we? I don't know, a recession. I think, I'm in Australia. Things are obviously different here to other countries, but everywhere inflation is high, it's getting higher. That's pretty much grounds for a recession, okay? So now I started Ethereal during the global financial crisis of 2008. So yeah, I've been through this once before. Well, who knows, we'll see. But one of the things that seems counterintuitive is, do you need to raise your prices? Yes, okay. People are not spending as much money on stuff they don't need right now, obviously. Sales will be down for some people because of this. That being said, if you raise your prices and you get less sales, you could actually end up making more money, all right? So just think about that for a second. Say you doubled your prices. Stay with me. It's a thought experiment. Say you doubled your prices and you made half as many sales. You're not making the same amount of money, you're making more money than you were before, because it's taking you less time and less materials to produce that amount of product. Let me repeat that. If you doubled your prices and sold half as much as you do now, you are making more money. You're making the same amount of money, your revenue is the same, but your profit is going to be much higher. Okay, so think about that calculation when you're thinking about, oh, well, if I raise my prices, I'll get less sales. Yes, but will you actually end up with the same amount of money or even more for less work? And then you can spend that other time on other things like making new designs, marketing, doing your social media marketing, etc. So while that might seem counterintuitive right now to raise prices, think about it from that perspective. Be honest with yourself. Are you underpricing right now, and could your prices go up? Number 6, don't give away discounts. Okay, this is not the time to lose your head and start giving away your product for even cheaper, okay? Because that's gonna, again, conversely to what we just talked about, that's gonna make you less money over time, and it's not gonna be sustainable. Now, I'm not saying don't do any discounts or sales. If they're a normal part of your business and they work for you, then keep doing them, that's fine. But don't start in desperation messaging everybody who favorites your shop and offering them sales coupons. That is not the way to continue and maintain a sustainable business. It might work okay for those of you who have stock pre-made. So if you have a lot of stock that you've already made that's sitting around and you just need to bring in a few more dollars and move that stuff on, then that might be a good reason to have a sale. But if you're someone like me, everything is made to order, then it doesn't make sense for me to be running discounts and sales all the time because it doesn't fit with my business model. So just make sure you have a good logical reason for running any discounts or sales before you do it. And also, I've seen this pop up a lot. Don't give in to sob stories. Sometimes we're too nice and we're too giving at the expense of ourselves. If somebody can't afford your product, they can't afford your product and they are not your ideal customer. Number 7, this harks back to what I was saying earlier about tracking your income and your expenses. Are you claiming everything you possibly can on your tax return? Now, if you're not sure about this, again, this seems counterintuitive. Hire an accountant and get them to walk you through it. Even if it's just for the one consult, they can go through, they can do an analysis of your business, your expenses, and what sort of things that you're spending money on. They can teach you what you can and can't claim in your country and direct you to the right information so that when you come to do your tax, you're not losing money and you're not paying more than you should. I mean, I have an accountant who does my taxes every year, but we keep track of all of that stuff in Xero. We use Xero software because I don't need inventory management that Crafty Base has. And I started doing my books way before I knew Crafty Base was a thing. And Xero is what our accountants use. So, we're kind of trapped in the ecosystem, but whatever, it's great software. I recommend it as well. But in there, we have all the categories of expenses that we know we can claim, and then we put that through there so that when our accountants come to do our taxes, they review it all and they put that through for us. You could be leaving a lot of money on the table here if you don't understand what you're allowed to claim as a business in your country. Number 8, and this is a bit of a quirky one that probably won't apply to a lot of you, but I used to sell on Etsy in US dollars. Now I'm in Australia, which means I get paid in Australian dollars. There is a quirk in the system that if you sell in a different currency on Etsy to what you receive money in, there's a currency conversion charge. It's 2.5%. So if you are someone like me who has been selling in US dollars, and the reason I did that as an aside is because the majority of buyers on Etsy are from the US, or my buyers were majority from the US, so I charged nice psychologically round numbers in their currency. And I'll be frank, those of us in other countries are kind of used to seeing stuff in weird numbers because we see currency conversions all the time. So I used to do it that way. But I actually changed that at the beginning of this year. I changed to selling in Australian dollars because Etsy introduced domestic and international pricing for those of us outside the US. Yes, so good. Again, I've done a video on that. You can check it out here. And so I switched back to selling in Australian dollars because I can set that separate price. That means I save 2.5% on every transaction because I'm not being charged a currency conversion fee. Again, have a look at the fee details on Etsy. There's a lot of different fees and they add up to different amounts depending on your situation. But if you can cut down on any of those fees that you don't need to be paying, for example, the currency conversion fee or opting into the offsite ads if you don't really want to be doing that right now, those are a couple of ways you can save a bit of money on your fees. I know it's not much, but it's something. I hope things are going well for you right now. I know it is tough out there for a lot of people. Thank you so much for watching today. Make sure to subscribe if you want to check out my future videos on how to have a thriving and profitable handmade business and a happy, productive and healthy work from home lifestyle, both of which are the topics that I talk about on this channel. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear from you how you're going below. How's your shop going? How's your Etsy shop going? How's your handmade business in general going? How are you going with what's happening with the economy right now? I hope things are doing okay for you out there, and I hope these tips help you to save a little bit of money and make things a little bit easier. I'll catch you in the next video. Oh, before I go, since you're here for all things Etsy, maybe check out this playlist, which is full of all my videos that I have done on Etsy. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.